Hello everybody, my name is Luke Marr and this is Hot Mode, and today on Hot Mode we're coming to you with your Vanity Fair after party fashion roast and review from the Oscars, part 1. And I'm going to be honest, there's going to be a couple of parts to this bad girl because there was a lot of looks. We're going to be talking about some of the looks, also if I look crazy. Not really that different than usual, but still in Paris, it's still Fashion Week. I feel like my brain is turning to mush, but one must discuss fashion. Thank you to all of you, because it wouldn't be possible without any of you guys. So I'm very grateful that you all give me the ability to do what I do, and I'm very lucky to be in the situation that I'm in. Thanks, guys. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart, and I'm very, very grateful. Now that I got my niceties out of the way, let's get started. I am starting off with Adrien Brody, and here's my thing. He's wearing Giorgio Armani. This is the exact same thing he wore to the Oscars. My issue is if we expect, and the expectation for the Vanity Fair after party is you change and you wear something a little crazy. If we expect that of all the women, I expect that of the men. I expect Adrien Brody holding his Oscar to have changed outfits and wear something a little more fun, a little more funky, a little kooky, a little crazy, a little out there. That's what I expect. So boring. Get it together. 2 looks minimum. Your wife is a fashion designer. I want something better. Next up, we have Cynthia Erivo, who is wearing Vivienne Westwood and Jewlery by Marli. I didn't talk about the Vivienne Westwood look from the performance at the Oscars. I didn't know if you guys wanted to see a video like that or if you wanted to see the Vanity Fair video first. So if you want another Oscars video and we talk about Ariana and Ray and Doja and Cynthia and their outfits and a couple other people from the carpet, I will do that. I promise. I just don't know if you guys are like bored of the Oscars yet. But I love that dress. We can talk about it later. This Vivienne Westwood dress, you know what I mean? Nothing was ever going to top that moment. The tulle bedsheet, it was never going to be that, but at the same time, like, it didn't have to be this bad either. Listen, I understand the Westwood draping. I understand the movement. I just think that this fabric does not lend itself to showing off the draping and or the body in the way that you would think of a Vivienne Westwood dress. I also think the bows on the side, it just, to me, it feels a little bedsheet drape, but it's in tulle. I love the necklace. I actually really, really love the necklace. I think it's so beautiful. I think it's so charming. I think the dress really helps to highlight how beautiful and charming things can be. I get what we were doing. I just think that, unfortunately, bad fabric choice. Next up, we have Divine Joy Randolph, who is wearing Valdrin Sahiti and Lagos jewelry. Here's the thing. I actually like the dress without the accoutrement. You know what I mean? I don't really need the off-the-shoulder sash thing or the waist sash thing. I think the dress in and of itself, it's really stiff looking. It almost looks like it's resin or it's made out of some sort of really tough material. I think that by itself would have just been enough. I think the material would have sold it. I just think that the added stuff here is what throws me off. Like, even the skirt, the way that it kind of at the back at least looks like it flares out and creates like a mini mermaid is really interesting. I just think it kind of clunks everything up at the neckline. Maybe even just the sash part would have been okay. I think it's the off the shoulder element that really cuts out any ability to showcase a neck. And again, with a fabric as stiff as this, you want the body to like be a little bit more seen. You want to be able to be as statuesque as possible. Maybe just here we could have got rid of, and I think that would have saved it. Next up, we have Dan Levy, and I know what you're going to say, Luke, that's a boring man in a suit. It's not. He's wearing Loewe, and yes, is it a black tuxedo suit? Sure. Is the bow tie kind of funky? No, you think. Same thing with the shirt. You're like, oh, it's just a white shirt. No. Zoom in alert. That bow tie is made out of feathers, and that shirt, I don't know if entirety it's made out of feathers, but it's definitely a feather applique. Loved. Loved down. Dan Levy is a fashion girl. Nobody can tell me different. It's just like those subtle things that are fun and cool and change the concept of a black tuxedo. He looks great. Something is so lovely about it. And that's the magic of Jonathan Anderson's Loewe. Next up, we have Danielle Deadwyler, who is wearing Gucci. Now, this is a custom look, full yellow, keyhole cutout, halter style. Honestly, I like it. Maybe the keyhole cutout I'm like, we didn't need. The rest of the dress, I think the color is really wonderful on her. It's this very sort of heavy embellishment in yellow. And as we hit around like the top of the hip area, it moves into a sort of longer fringed embellishment. And so it adds a movement as she walks. I don't think that the halter neck is bad on her whatsoever. I think that the Lagos jewelry that she's wearing also helps to like keep everything moving and grooving. I think it looks nice, you know what I mean? It's kind of fun, it's a little out there, it's not as like weird and wacky as she usually is, but I don't mind her doing like more interesting classic silhouette. Like, she showed up as a fashion Kong toy to the SAG Awards. Like, she's good for this season. I'm not requiring Danielle Deadwyler to do anything else. She won for me. Next up, we have Demi Moore, who's wearing custom Gucci as well. Now, she's also wearing jewelry by Boucheron, and here's what I'm going to say about this dress. I don't mind it. I think it's really pretty, gold, whatever. I just think on the sides, because it's a halter as well, and do we need to do 2 halters? I don't know. I think the fact that gold fabric drapes out of this gold hardware necklace that has been a part of recent collections, and then sort of comes down and creates like a side flap is just a little odd. I think without that, it would have just been really pretty, really cute, embellishment heavy, nice dress. I would have asked for a little bit more excitement, sure, especially like the VF after party. Like, that's where the girls like gotta do fashion. The Oscars is classic, the VF is like not. Pretty dress except for the side flap thing. Just didn't need that. I'm gonna be late to a fashion show, but we have to do this work. Yeah. Next up, we have Drew Starkey, who is wearing Saint Laurent. It's a pinstripe gray charcoal suit. He has a nice little white shirt, red tie. Is it the most exciting thing ever? No. But is it like not just a black tuxedo? Sure. So we'll take it. As for the Cartier jewelry, it's nice. It's cute. It works. It's fine. Overall, I don't know. Something a little more exciting would have piqued my interest, but at the same time, not a black suit. So, okay. Next up, we have Halle Berry, who is wearing George Chakra and jewelry by Jared. Now, here's what I'm going to say. The silver sequins is a lot to begin with. It's going to take the attention. I think doing like a white structural drape doesn't help. Now they're fighting for attention, and I want neither of them to win. One of them, at least, I would have had to pay attention to. Now I'm kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of bright. Also, like the fringe on the skirt here, compared to Danielle's, it's very, wants to pop out. It wants you to know that it is there and that it will spike and it will slit you as you walk by. Danielle's, it was really sort of like laid flat on. It didn't really punch out too much. You knew it was an embellishment, but here they're kind of like wanting to be in the fray, and I don't want them to be in the fray. So if you're going to pick a strong embellishment like this, especially in a silver like this, try not to gunk up the top with something different because nobody's going to know where to look. But the Lagos jewelry, pretty. I actually kind of like the arm cuff. I'm like confused by the placement of it, but I like the placement of it. It's like not elbow high up on the forearm, and that's kind of like different, so I'll take that. Next up, we have Imaan Hamaam, who is wearing Balmain, and she's also wearing Louboutin shoes and jewelry by David Webb. I love the dress. I also love a little lube, a looby-doob. I guess my one issue is maybe the shoe should have been gold. I don't know. The black shoe is just like throwing me off a little bit. If I look ankle up, I actually like this. And I think this is what you want to see from the VF. Like, it's quirky, it's gold feathers, there's a peplum, it's a mini skirt, it's kind of party. This is the kind of stuff that like one would like to see, you know? It's quirky, out there, pretty, strange, fun, youthful, cocktaily. This is what we need, except for the show. Next up, we have Joe Locke, who is wearing Dolce & Gabbana and a watch by IWC Schaffhausen. I get it's like the after party, so I understand not doing a tie or not doing a jacket. Like, I get the concept. I just think it becomes a little plain Jane when it's like a black pant and a cummerbund and a shirt. You know, it's just like too plain. I feel like this is the moment to like do a little out there, do a little crazy. Wear, I don't know, a cardigan, wear a crazy waistcoat like you already wore at the Oscars. Wear something a little kooky, a little out there, a little fun. You know, more liberty here. Very after party or after party or midway through the wedding when you get sweaty from dancing, but to each their own. Next up, we have Kaya Gerber, who's wearing vintage Valentino and jewelry or diamonds, Rachmaninoff diamonds. I like this a lot. I think this is fun. I think this vintage Valentino is honestly really, really beautiful. I love the droopiness and like the weird melting layers and ruffles, and the fact that they're actually all, if we zoom in, a little bit embellished with crystals. I think that adds a sparkle, it adds a shine, it also adds weight to them, so they kind of move a little differently, which I also think is quite nice. The cape's hem also has that sort of melted butter, melted cheese, I don't know. I think it's fun. I don't mind the big fabric flower, and then when she took the dress off, also really lovely, you know what I mean? Like, it still holds and retains a nice shape, column gown, but it has a little intrigue, a little interest, it's a little funny, it's a little quirky, it's a little humorous, but still gorgeous. Next up, we have Keke Palmer, who's wearing Versace. Here's what I'm gonna say about it. I don't hate it, but it wasn't my favorite Kiki look, I don't think I've ever seen. I think that the bandeau and the skirt works. I think it's something about the crystal netting. I don't know if it's like the fit of it. I can see it like the back, it's kind of flying away a little bit. I don't know what it is, but something about it was a little off to me. I don't know if it's just the way that it's like tailored in like the underarm area, that it's not as sort of clung to the clavicle-ness. I would have honestly enjoyed it without the crystal netting, or if the crystal netting fit better, but not my favorite Kiki moment. Next up, we have Kendall Jenner, who is wearing vintage Mugler as well as jewelry by Lorraine Schwartz and Jimmy Choo shoes. Kendall and also Hunter Schafer, who we'll talk about in the next video. Blueprint for the vintage moments and for turning it out. This black lace bell sleeve form-fitted high collar gown is amazing, magnificent, stunning on her. Yes, does it help that she's a model? Sure. But at the same time, like, you know, I see a lot of runways. Not everything that you see on a model is amazing. They can't carry everything. This, though, she carries. I mean, even I think the hair really helps to just allow that high collar to work. She looks good. Next up, we have Kim Kardashian. She's wearing custom Balenciaga. And now here's the thing. When I first saw this dress, I was like, oh, interesting. I've been seeing a lot about the way that cultural landscapes are changing. We're moving away from like clingy, tight dresses, and we're getting much more into big, traditional, classic ideas and silhouettes of like feminine beauty. And I thought to myself, oh, Kim is doing that, because you have this white, crinkly bed gown that's very high-waisted. It has a big frou-frou skirt. It's classic sort of silhouette, neckline, lovely. It looks like she's getting married. But then she turned to the side, and I saw her butt, because it's a form-fitting gown that just has this front skirt. I think it was actually kind of brilliant of her. I think you can hate her. I get it. I can't deny when somebody is very smart. This feels very on brand for her. This feels like something that to Kim is kind of natural, like do glamour and then at the same time like Kim Kardashian butt, BBL, like that's the brand, you know what I mean? So she's not like completely rejecting it, but she is playing into the humor of it. And so I found that kind of fascinating, and I really feel like this dress is the perfect example of that cultural shift that people are starting to see going on around the world, or at least like in the United States. What I'll also say is, as much as I am not like a Balenciaga stan currently, what I will say is it actually does feel kind of haute couture-esque, because if you think about like Hubert de Givenchy and Audrey Hepburn, hear me out, listen, I'm not losing it that much. In a weird way, it's just reversing an haute couture silhouette. And so this dress to me is like the perfect example of Demna's ability to do couture level, yet make it humorous, make it kind of smart, make it really something that you have to understand the cultural nuances of. So you don't have to like it, but these are the moments that I say Demna understands how to play to the audience and reflect the world that we're living in. Next up, we have Leslie Bibb, who is wearing Fendi Haute Couture and jewelry by Boucheron. I love this. I think this is a nice dress on her. It's sheer gold. It's the first time in a hot minute I've seen like a really nice Fendi Haute Couture look as well, which I'm very happy to see. Listen, is it a little simple? Sure, but well done. I'll take it. It's fine. I also have yet to really be like, oh, Leslie Bibb, like fashion diva. If we're moving and grooving in a good way, like, I'll take this. I'm happy. When things are good, they're good. They always could be better, but they're good, and I'll take it. Next up, we have Lisa, who is wearing Miss Sohi and jewelry by Bulgari. This is a custom look. I actually think it's rather divine on her. One of the most amazing leather craftsmen in all of the world, especially in Paris. You should follow him. It's like his Instagram is Gianna Robert. Fantastic. He's done like so many of the cool leather pieces that you've seen on celebrities and the runways over the years. And I love this clam shape. I think it's something that Miss Sohi has been doing for quite some time. If you see the sort of bodice hip protrusions look like a clam shell. It's very Venus. It's very linked into the Miss Sohi brand. I think that the dress fits her fantastically. I think that the lace at the top and the skirt really allow the leather bodice to really do the work, which is what you kind of want. The jewelry placement maybe was my only point of contention. Maybe if we cut the lace out and let the jewelry sit, I just think placing it over the lace didn't deliver. I think there may be better ways to go about getting that placement on there. Love the actual dress. I just think the styling of the jewelry was my one subtle-ish. Love the fact that the hair is like kind of wet. Plays into the beautiful, clammy Venus de Milo birth experience. Next up, we have Lizzo, who is wearing Christian Siriano and jewelry by Lori Rodkin. I actually wouldn't mind this horsehair skirt from like the waist up. It's good, nice dress, whatever. I just think that when we get to like the mid thigh, you can start to see where the horsehair, there's like a panel of it. It creates like a V, right, that goes to the knee area. That's where it starts to build volume. And I think that had we started to build volume just from like a little higher, it would have really created a little bit of drama. But I think that at certain parts, because the horsehair is so stiff, it looks stiff when it's clinging to the thigh area and it just doesn't deliver, and it feels like, again, late start. You know what I mean? Had it started a little higher, you get more volume, more drama, and I actually would have been like, T, delivering. I'm into it. But that's my issue. A late start, you know what I mean? Next up, we have Margaret Qualley. She's wearing custom Chanel and jewelry by Chanel as well. I don't like that dress at all. I get the halter, the weird draping of it, the high ass slit. It really is a high cooter slit. Like, it's too high. It's way too high. And then that panel of fabric that is like floor length gown skirt, you can see the way that it slips underneath what is essentially just like a cocktail dress. It looks weird to me. The black shoe with the strap also like doesn't help at all. Where's my man Matthew at? I need him to come help, please, because this, no. Next up, we have Mary J. Blige. She's wearing Gaurav Gupta, and here's my issue with this dress, is that it's this dress. I think it looks kind of gimmicky. The crystals everywhere are so gunked up. They look so dark in the red gathering that they don't really shine super well. The weird neckline like jut out is upsetting to me, and there are so many better Gaurav Gupta looks that I would have preferred to see her in. Any of those wavy micro pleated dresses would have looked fantastic on her, but no, I'm sorry, it doesn't look, I don't like it. I'm not into it. I don't think it's got, no. Next up, we have Mikey Madison, who is wearing vintage Christian Dior jewelry by Tiffany & Co. It's so crazy that the vintage Dior looks so good, and the modern Dior does not. A little strange, some would say. This dress was the thing that she should have wore at the Oscars. Sorry, hands down. I don't really care what anybody has to say about that. Fantastic dress, you know what I mean? Like, the master. Like, literally, I don't know which Dior designer. Whichever one it is, masterfully done. I like the plunging neckline. I love the fact that the Tiffany & Co. jewelry really is, like, able to shine because of that neckline. I love the stole. I love the shape. It's just very classic 1947 Dior wasp waist, but in a lovely satin. And that's the thing, is, like, the girls used to know how to work with satin. Nowadays, you know, because people are like, oh, it's satin, it's gonna wrinkle. I don't know, girl. I don't know. That doesn't look wrinkled to me. What's the excuse? She looks fantastic. This is what she should have worn to the Oscars. Next up, we have Olivia Rodrigo, who is wearing Roberto Cavalli. She's also wearing jewelry by Mikimoto and Stuart Weitzman shoes. This is straight off of the Pompeii runway by Roberto Cavalli that was just shown in Milan. It's actually a really cool story. I really enjoyed the collection. It was a wonderful moment of storytelling about the story and history and cultural impact of Pompeii and the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. And this dress is based on like the ash that fell down and essentially killed everybody, and also like preserved their bodies in Pompeii underneath all of the ash. Love that Olivia went for a different silhouette than I feel like I normally see her in. I like this sort of mermaid skirt. I like that it's not floor length. I like the halter. It feels very different for her. What I would also say is there's a lot of other great dresses from that collection that I would love to see her in. They're very Art Nouveau, florals, like beautiful velvets, and I think that she would be amazing in that. Seems like she's branching out in this moment, and I'm kind of proud of her, but I want her to keep pushing. Next up, we have Olivia Wilde. She is wearing Loewe and also jewelry by Buccellati. I don't mind the fact that it's pretty nude. I don't care. Like, it's whatever. Do your thing. It's very flowy, Chloe, beautiful. My issue is clearly, when you compare it to the runway look, those pieces that are lace sort of panels right underneath the bust area, that was like connected on the runway, and I think it was so much better when it was connected rather than when it was separated like this. So I don't know if they took a runway sample and then they sort of expanded it just because like sizing, or if they made this custom for her. I don't know. I just wish that they kept it like true to the runway identity of it. I think it would have like hit and slapped much, much harder. Next up, we have Ray, who is wearing Jacquemus as well as De Beers jewelry and an Audemars Piguet little jewelry thing as well. I like this dress on her. Yes, there is crinkling in it, and like I hate that obviously, but what I'll say is I just think the silhouette is good. Like I've been waiting for her to find this real sort of like performer vixen moment, and I feel like she's finally got it. She got it when it came to the red carpet at the Oscars, maybe the other dress, different conversation, different video, but I like when she does this. I think this works for her. I think she looks great in it. Again, like if you're a powerhouse singer, it's like Adele. You don't really like have to do too much fashion. Like the talent is enough. But when you do find things that work for you and really just sort of sell your best assets besides your voice, I'm very happy. And so I like this, and I'm into this. You don't have to be a fashion girl, but like there are ways to do interesting silhouettes that you're not used to and still feel like beautiful glamourati. Next up we have Selena Gomez. She's wearing Armani Privé and jewelry by Bulgari. I like it. Listen, it's not my favorite Armani Privé dress ever, but I think that these dark blue sequins are radiant. They're lovely. The dress fits her fantastically. Do I wish it was a little bit more exciting, a little bit more fun? Yeah, I do. I think that there was actually a lot from the Armani Privé collection that was more fun and interesting and quirky and could be a little like kooky crazy. But you know what? It does look beautiful on her. I do think the color is fantastic. There's something about those. It's almost like a dark indigo in my eye view, but men actually have worse color concepting in their eyeballs than women. So like maybe it's not. But to me, it looks a little dark indigo, and I kind of like that color. The jewelry, nice, cute, but of course, like more fun. I would have enjoyed. And she does like to have fun every once in a while. I've seen the kooky crazy Prada stripes. So anything that would be a little quirkier from Armani Privé, I think would have served us better. Next up, we have Sophia Richie Grange, who's also wearing Armani Privé. Normally when they do this silhouette, the bodice is usually higher. And I don't mean Armani Privé, I mean like everybody that does the silhouette, and they love to do this like two-piece bodice bell shape thing and then a fitted skirt underneath. I actually think the length of this is much better than what it usually is. Usually it feels shorter, and so it feels more like, oh, you have a bodice and a separate skirt that doesn't really help do anything. Something about the length of it actually kind of works to me. I also think that the sequins are rather interesting. They look almost like crocodile scales, and I think the fact that they're reflective and shiny also plays into that idea of like crocodile leather really reflecting. I think that this works well. Next up, we have Sydney Sweeney, who is wearing Miu Miu. It's custom. It looks fantastic on her. Honestly, like beautiful, beautiful, beautiful dress. Again, like him, I think Sydney Sweeney's like fashion brand. It has gotten a little bit more fashion at certain points, but it also, if it's just like clean, easy, beautiful, stunning, sexy kind of vibes, I'm into that, and I think that this dress accomplishes those goals. It's lovely. I think that the De Beers jewelry, also wonderful on her. I don't really need any more. If this is what Sydney wants to do, I'll take it. It fits to me the Miu Miu aesthetic, even more currently. Normally Miu Miu is a little bit like quirky embellishments. We saw that on Kylie's look at the Oscars. I think that this is like the perfect example of the current Miu Miu aesthetic, which is like sell to the girls, make product that everybody is yearning for. I think it's hitting what we wanted it to hit. And lastly, Zoe Saldana. Listen, it's custom Saint Laurent, and she's also wearing jewelry by De Beers. I just wish that whatever, I assume this beautiful scoop neck, cashmere shirt, sweater, really light knit. I don't know what it is, but I think the colors work really well together. I just think that it feels a little too casual. Had it just been a dress with this beautiful high-low, sort of ruffly skirt, I would have honestly probably lived a little bit more. But Zoe, to me, just making like weird choices. And somebody making strange choices. I think it might be Zoe. I don't get it. But I like the shoes. I actually like everything separate. And I think anywhere else I would have been like, okay, kind of weird. But I see the colors playing into each other. High-low, casual, not casual. But again, like VF, I was expecting a little more. So that is the end of this video. This is part 1. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys for part 2. Let's talk about best and worst really quick. Best, I'm giving it to Mikey Madison. I'm going to give it to Danielle Deadwyler. I'm going to give it to Kai Gerber. I'll give it to Kendall. I'll give it to Kim also, in case anybody wants to be like, he's a hater. Not. Sydney Sweeney, Ray. As for worst, I'm going to put Adrien Brody for outfit repeating. I'm going to put Halle Berry. I'll put in there. Olivia Wilde, just because it didn't land. Oh, Margaret Qualley. Yeah. She stays at the bottom of my pyramid. I am her Abby Lee Miller. Thank you guys so much for watching again. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one, and TTYL.